Good morning, everybody. As we get all our platforms set up here, we are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. Live on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. Live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Live on X. Good morning, X. Live on YouTube. Wait a minute. Pending that we are live on YouTube. Let me be sure. Yes, we are live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. And live on Instagram. There is word on the street. There is a rumor. There are rumors out there that starting at 8:56 a.m., I can once again broadcast live on TikTok. So starting at 8:56 a.m., I might bring TikTok into this conversation. But what we're going to talk about here today, starting right now, before that ban gets lifted, is we're going to talk about the 6 phases of the sales funnel. For any of you who ever has wanted to sell anything, if you are already selling things, if you want to sell things, you want to have your own business, you want to do your own thing, you want to be able to make your own money in your own way, especially if you're going to do it online, then you are going to take people through the 6 phases of the sales funnel. We'll let you all know up front that the phases of the sales funnel apply offline the same way they apply online. I will give you some examples so you understand this. Those of you who are not familiar with what a sales funnel is, I will help you understand that as well. All of you will understand that not only do you use this process when you're selling anything, including selling yourself, you also go through this process as a consumer, and many of you have been through this process many times as consumers, even though you may not have noticed what was happening. Actually, many of you are in the process of going through the sales funnel process right now as a consumer of products that you buy. And again, as I explain this, you're going to understand this really well. And I'm going to make it very relatable, understandable, digestible, and actionable for everybody who is listening, because that is my superpower. That's what I do best. So to tell you all who I am, those of you who don't know me, my name is Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I'm the author of 40 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I own this company called Work on Your Game. Our job over here is to help you do 3 specific things: perform at your highest possible level, do so consistently, and produce the desired results. That is all pulled from my background as a professional athlete. That is the frame from which I introduce things, share things, and explain things. But you need no background in sports whatsoever to understand what I do. Because again, as I just told you, my superpower is taking topics and breaking them down and making them simple enough and digestible and actionable enough for anyone, regardless of your background, to not only understand, but to use. All of that being said, let's get into this topic of the 6 phases of the sales funnel. Now, I want you to understand that these 6 phases that I'm going to explain does not necessarily denote a certain amount of time that must elapse in order for you to go through the funnel. In other words, if you buy a house, you might take 6 months going in through the back and forth process between the first time you think about buying a house to when you actually close the deal and you have the keys in your hand and you're in your house, right? That could be a 6-month process. Where at the same time, if you're at the grocery store and you decide to buy a pack of gum, the amount of time between when you look at the pack of gum and you actually buy it and put the first stick of gum in your mouth, that could take 30 seconds. So a sales funnel does not necessarily have to take a certain amount of time, but these are the steps that must be gone through for anyone to buy anything and for anyone to sell anything. So as I said in the introduction, any of you ever want to sell anything, these are the steps that you're going to take people through. And you don't have to do this. It doesn't necessarily mean a one-on-one conversation. As I explained, if you're buying a pack of gum at the grocery store, it's not like there's a salesperson standing there selling you on the gum. The gum is just sitting there and it says what it is on the label, and there's a price. And you say, okay, do I want to pay 99 cents for this pack of gum? You make a decision, you buy the gum. All right, nobody has to talk you into it. Well, now when it comes to buying a house, you might go through multiple realtors. You got to talk to the buyers. You got to talk to maybe the mortgage people. You got to talk to the bank. There's a whole lot of people you may talk to in the process of making that sale. So a process can be very long. It can be very complex with multiple individuals involved. Process also can be very short and very quick with no humans involved except you making a decision for yourself, such as, again, buying a pack of gum. So the speed at which you go through these steps can be faster or slower depending on the factors that I just said. Who is involved? Where is this happening? Who you are? What type of offer we're talking about? How much does it cost? How much commitment is necessary to make the decision? Again, you can buy a pack of gum and decide, no, I don't like this gum, and just throw it in the trash. If you buy a house inside, you don't like the house, that's a much higher level of commitment. So you take more time to make a decision. The urgency of your need, such as paying for a bail bondsman, is an urgent need. Whereas buying new pillows for your bed might not be that urgent of a need. So how much education is required to make a decision? If you're about to buy a house, you got to learn a lot about the neighborhood, about the quality of the house, about a whole bunch of things before you make a decision. Maybe all of these factor in, and again, can happen in the course of a matter of seconds or a matter of months or even years before you make a decision. All right, let's get into it. 6 steps of the sales funnel. The first step is what we call awareness. The first step of anybody buying anything. And again, I want you to look at this from both sides of the equation, as a consumer and also as a producer / salesperson. The first step in anyone buying anything is you must become aware that something is even available to be purchased. You can't buy something that you don't know is there. All right, you can't pay somebody for something if you don't know that the something exists. So what is the thing that you would actually buy? And this is the first step. I want you all to think about this. Really, I made this process really for those of you who are in sales. So I'm really going to mostly talk about from the sales angle, but I want you to consider this from the consumer angle, because again, all of you are consumers. You all buy stuff, right? Okay, so the first step, getting people to know you exist. This is the biggest challenge that a lot of you will have these days, especially if you want to get into selling things on the internet as an entrepreneur or as a solopreneur, or you just want to do your own thing through the internet and make money. The biggest challenge that you must deal with is getting attention. You have to get the attention of people. We are in the attention business. This is why I've said many times when I do these live streams that often I talk about current events. And tomorrow I'll probably be back talking about current events again. I often talk about current events because talking about current events draws more attention than talking about even what I'm talking about here today from a certain audience, from certain people at certain times. And I think it also factors in the way that I talk about it. It draws more attention than if I talk about an evergreen subject, such as what I'm talking about here today. Not to say that this isn't valuable, but if I just want to get as much attention as possible, I'll talk about something that is going to draw as much attention as possible, which is usually something around politics, specifically around Donald Trump, or just anything that's happening in the news, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. I am in the attention business. So sometimes I would do lives and somebody might leave a comment and say, well, why are you always talking about Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump makes people pay attention. That's what it is. He draws attention. So if you want to get attention, talk about him, and people are going to listen to what you have to say. They may not agree. They may not like what you say, but they will listen to what you have to say because everyone has an opinion. So I'm not telling you got to talk about Donald Trump to start a business. What I'm saying is you got to get people to know that you exist. If you're going to sell something, people must know that you exist, and or they must know that what you're offering exists. I told you that I've written a whole bunch of books. If I want to sell somebody a book, I can't just say I've written a bunch of books, go pick one. I usually got to tell them specifically, all right, you're in this situation and this is who you are. You go get that book. I got to tell them specifically which one to get. It's a better chance they're actually going to go get it because I'm narrowing their choices. So when it comes to marketing, ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 ways to market yourself on the internet, and there are only 3. All right. If you are taking notes, write these 3 down. Number 1, advertising. This is the fastest way to get attention, but it costs money. Number 2 is through collaboration. That is when you connect with someone else who has an audience and you basically borrow some of their attention that they've already created, and some of that attention goes to you. And number 3 is content. Content simply means you creating material that you give away for free so that other people can see you, hear you, experience you, and hopefully they decide that they like you. So what I'm doing right now is a combination of both content and collaboration, because I'm creating content, I'm giving you this for free, and as a collaboration because I'm collaborating with all the platforms that have access to these people, which is you. And because I'm willing to give them the live stream, they're willing to give me access to some people who might watch what I post. So it's actually a combination of both. Anytime you're using social media, you are doing a form of collaboration because social media has access to the people. You have the content. As long as you create content, social media, ostensibly the deal is you create content, will give you access to some of the audience. That's how it works. And again, this is the reason why when I do my live streams, I pick topics that I believe are going to draw a lot of attention because that gets people to know that I exist. And then when they can see that I'm actually good, then they may decide to stick around. So the first step, ladies and gentlemen, is you must get awareness. Anything that can get people to know about you and or what you are offering is awareness, and you must get good at getting people aware that you exist. All right, people who are known as influencers on the internet, what's the main thing that they're trading in? The main thing they're trading in is awareness. They have people's attention. People know that they are there. This is the reason why people have to get followers on the internet, right? Why do you want to get followers? Because followers represent a certain level of awareness. That means people are aware that we are there and that we exist. Now, how you got them to be aware of you is a different story, but just getting people aware of you in the first place is a thing. This is the reason why you see on the internet people doing silly stuff and crazy things and even saying ridiculous things at times. Why? Because it's going to get them attention. And these days, we are trading in attention. If you didn't know, now you know. Now, it does not mean you need to go do crazy things that are out of your character just to get attention. And it also depends on what kind of attention you're getting. But does attention matter? Yes, it does. Because you can't sell anything to anyone if they don't know you're there. It doesn't mean you need to have 1 million followers, but whoever is going to buy from you has to know you're there. All right, everybody got it? So many product creators have good material, but the problem is people don't know that they're there. So some of you listening to this right now, you have an offering, which is a product or a service that would be very useful to a lot of people. The problem is the people to whom your offer would be useful do not know that you or your product exists. Therefore, they can't buy it. That's your biggest problem right now. All right. You have something that would be useful if the right person heard about it and knew about it, but they don't know about it because they never heard about it because you have not done your job of making them aware that you exist. Now, I want you all to understand that this is an ongoing problem that every business has perpetually. Let me say that one more time. So I want y'all to really get this point. Awareness is an ongoing problem that exists in perpetuity for every single business that exists. Every business has this problem, all of them. Yes, even Amazon, even Google, even Nike, and including the everyday person who's by themselves typing away on a computer and they haven't made any sales yet. They got the same problem that Amazon, Google, and Nike have. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Dre, how can you say Amazon and Google have a problem with awareness? I'll prove it to you that they have a problem with awareness. iPhone, Apple as well, iPhone. Have you ever seen an advertisement for Google? You ever seen an ad for Amazon? You ever seen an iPhone ad on a billboard when you're driving down the street in your town? Your answer should be yes, because these companies advertise. They advertise a lot. Nike spends $1 million a day advertising. Google and Amazon are probably very close. Apple is probably even further ahead than that. These companies spend millions of dollars every day, not every month, every day advertising. Why do they spend so much money on advertising? Even though all of you know who these companies are. How many customers does Amazon have? How many customers does Google have? How many customers does Nike have? How many customers does Apple have? Like, most of you are on their phone. Why are they advertising when everybody's already bought their stuff? Seemingly everybody's already bought their stuff for two reasons. Number one, there are 8 billion people on the planet. So just because you have a certain number of customers does not mean you have all the customers. And some of your competitors have some of the customers that should be yours. So you want to take some of your competitors' customers away from them and make them yours. You have to advertise so that the competitors' customers know that you have a better product than what they have. You understand? That's one reason why these big companies with seemingly all these customers still advertise. And here's the other reason that you all shouldn't forget when it comes to awareness. Is a very important point. Just because you have somebody's attention today does not mean you're going to have their attention tomorrow. So even though, how many of you listening to this are using the iPhone right now? I would guess probably 80% of you are on an iPhone listening to me right now. So think about this. Most of you, whatever iPhone you have, I'm like 3 phones behind. I think I got the iPhone 13. What's out now? The 16? I'm like 3 iPhones behind, but I still have an iPhone. So I think the first iPhone I got was like the iPhone, maybe the 6 or the 7. So I went 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I already got like 7 or 8 iPhones. So the next time I get a phone, I'm probably going to get another iPhone, whatever it is, the 16, the 17, iPhone 80, whatever it's going to be. I'm probably going to get another iPhone next time I get a phone. However, Apple does not assume that just because they sold me a product in the past that they're going to sell me a product in the future. Do you understand? This is the reason why they still advertise. They do not assume that just because they got your money yesterday, they're going to get your money again tomorrow. So they have to keep advertising to you and staying top of mind, i.e. aware in your mind. You have to be aware of Apple so that when you do buy a phone, you're thinking about them and you're not thinking about anybody else. Because if they stopped advertising, if Apple stopped spending $1 million a day in ads, you would forget about iPhones and you might pay attention to the ads of their competitor, like an Android, and then you end up buying an Android. Now Apple just lost a customer, which is bad for them. And it's not because they need your $1,000 for the phone. It's because of the lifetime value of you as a customer. If you added up every phone that you bought from Apple, let's say every phone costs $1,000, and I don't even buy every iPhone. So I got the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I probably didn't get them all. I think I skipped the 12. So let's just say I got 7 iPhones, right? And each iPhone costs $1,000. What's the lifetime value of me as a customer to Apple? It's not $1,000. That's $7,000. I bought 7 phones at $1,000 a piece. See, this is the reason why they advertise. They advertise because they're thinking about the lifetime value of a customer, not just the one-time value of a customer. So you got to think long-term in business. Once somebody becomes a customer of yours, how many times are they going to spend money with you? How much money will they spend with you total? And how much money are you willing to advertise in order to get that person in so they can spend all the rest of that money? So if you have a customer who's going to spend in a lifetime, let's just say somebody lives to their iPhone that hasn't been out that long. Let's say somebody spends in a lifetime. You add up my iPads, my laptops, all the stuff I bought from Apple. Let's just say I spend $30,000 in a lifetime on Apple products. Let's just say $30,000, right? That's the lifetime value I'm going to spend with Apple overall. Multiply that by all the customers that they have, and then ask yourself, all right, does it make sense for them to spend $1 million a day in advertising? The answer is absolutely it does. Why? Because they make more money a day than they spend. All right, that's why they're willing to spend money on awareness. And I'm saying all that to just help you all understand this in a bigger frame, but this applies to you on a smaller level as well. Now, you may be thinking, well, Dre, I don't have $1 million a day to spend on advertising. You don't have to spend money on advertising every day, but you need to be doing something every day that puts you in a position to make what you offer get it on the radar of people who might be interested in buying it. There's a reason why I do live streams every day. I do a live stream, or at least Monday through Friday. The reason I do live streams Monday through Friday, and I put out content every single day, a whole lot of content, is because I want people to be aware of me. I want new people to find out about me, and I got to keep dripping on people who already know about me, because you might just hear the right thing today that makes you say, all right, now I'm going to go buy something. I've been following Dre and consuming his free shit for months, but now he said that. Now I have this need, and he said that at the same time. Now I'm going to go do something. See, that's part of it. That's part of your marketing strategy. So marketing is how you get people's awareness, in case any of you didn't know. Marketing is the lifeblood of business. Marketing is the lifeblood of business. There's Apple controls this billboard across the street from where I live. And every maybe 6 weeks, they change the billboard. But every 6 weeks, the change of the billboard, all they're changing it to is just a different ad for the iPhone. That's all they do. All they do is just make different ads for the iPhone. So I would say out of every 10 times they change that billboard, 9 of the 10, I would say 8 of the 10 are for the iPhone, and then the other 2 will be something else. It'll be something like the AirPods or Apple Music, but it's all connected back to the phone, because you listen to Apple Music where? On your phone. You use AirPods to connect to what? Your phone. So it's all ads for the phone, because Apple makes most of their money from the phone, in case any of you didn't know that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is to say that this billboard space, this is in prime real estate when it comes to advertising in Miami. This billboard probably costs Apple, I would say, at least $10,000 a month for them to even control that billboard space. It's costing them at least $10,000 a month. And again, as I already explained to you, I don't have to explain this again. Why would a company like Apple, who has billions of dollars and millions of customers, why are they spending money on a damn billboard as if nobody knows who they are? Everybody knows who they are. If I say Apple, everybody in the room knows who I'm talking about. Why are they still spending money on advertising? And this is the part that I want you to get. Even if you don't have their scale and you don't have their budget, there are things that big companies do that you should copy because it makes sense. This is one of the things you should copy. I'm not saying spend as much money as they spend. I'm saying understand the principle underlying their actions. Their action is they are still spending money on marketing and advertising, even though they have millions of customers. You, who might only have tens of customers or hundreds of customers, you should be doing things to market and advertise yourself the same way that Apple, Amazon, and Google do. Amazon spends money on ads. Google sends advertising marketing material in the mail. Any of you ever got a physical letter from Google? If you own a business, you've gotten a physical letter from Google that's offering you to come run ads on the Google Ads platform, and we'll give you $250 of credit when you spend your first $500 or something like that. They send those ads out all the time. I get those cards like once a month. Now, let me ask you a question. Google is an internet company, right? Isn't Google a place you go on the internet to search for stuff? Why is Google sending physical mail to somebody's mailbox? Because they understand they have to reach you more than one way. They understand they have to reach you more than one way. They can't just advertise on the internet? They got to bring it to your doorstep, literally to your doorstep. Why does Amazon advertise on billboards and advertise in magazines when everything that you buy from Amazon is on the phone or on the computer? But they're still in magazines, billboards, and they still send physical mail to you because they understand they have to reach you in as many ways as possible, and they got to keep reaching you to make sure you keep buying. Everybody understand the principle that I'm giving you here? So just because you have a good product or service and nobody's aware of it, you can't sell it. Moving on, point number 2. We're talking here today about the 6 phases of a sales funnel. Number 2 is interest. Oh, you thought just because you had somebody's attention that you had their interest. No, these are 2 different things. Somebody being aware that you exist is one thing, and then being interested in you is another thing. Any of you ever been in the dating space? Okay, so have you ever, men who are watching this, you ever been out somewhere and you saw a woman and you were interested in her? You became aware and interested almost at the same time. So you remember what I told you when I started this conversation? I told you that sometimes these steps can happen very quickly. Sometimes they happen slowly. So men out there, when you're out and about and you see an attractive woman, you become aware and interested, step 1 and step 2, almost instantaneously. Isn't that how it works? You get both at the same time. Now, ladies who are listening to this, sometimes it happens to you instantaneously as well. Sometimes you'll be out and you'll see a man and you become aware and interested immediately. You immediately know I'm interested in that guy. But sometimes the man has to grow on you. I've heard many stories of couples, like men and women who are married, and they'll have this story of how the man was immediately interested, but the woman, she was aware of the man, but she didn't really like him. And he kind of just kept working on her and he grew on her. And then 6 months later, then she started liking him. Then they became married and they lived happily ever after, at least the last time I checked. So sometimes for women, the process is a little bit slower, but usually in my experience and in the experience I've heard from other men, usually for men, awareness and interest happen immediately. We immediately know we're interested because men usually make our decisions based on the visual factors, whereas women sometimes make their decisions based on other factors besides just visual. Anyway, interest, folks, in the sales funnel. And mind you, I told you everything is sales. So dating is sales, the same way that selling a book is sales, or the same way that selling an iPhone is sales. All of it is sales. Interest is when someone starts to see what you're about and it connects to something that they happen to be interested in. Again, sometimes this happens immediately. Sometimes what you offer has to grow on a person, and sometimes their situation needs to change to where they actually need what you're offering. Let me give you some examples. I have a child. Any of you who doesn't have kids, or you remember not having kids because you got kids now, you knew what a nursery was. You knew what a carrot, you know what not a carriage, but a stroller was. You knew what a crib was. You knew what baby food was. You knew what baby clothes were. You knew what those things were. But when you didn't have kids, even though you were aware of them, you were not interested in them. You were not interested in shopping for or buying a stroller when you didn't have kids because you had no reason to buy a stroller. Even though you were aware, you were not interested. But as soon as you became pregnant, or your female in your life became pregnant, now all of a sudden you are interested in baby stuff because you're about to have a baby. So you see how you can be aware but not interested, and your interest level may change based on situations changing in your life. Also, your interest level may change based on what somebody's offering. So for example, what's an example? I was looking at some software and the software was looking interesting. I was thinking maybe I'll get that software, maybe not. I'm not sure about the price. And then at the end of the year, a lot of companies, they'll put things on sale for Christmas and New Year's. So they put it on sale. They said, all right, we're going to offer you 50% off for a month. You get a month of this software for 50% off and you can just use it and cancel if you want. And I said, all right, for 50% off, because the software I think was like $200 a month. And then they said, we'll give you the software for $100 a month for like a New Year's sale. I said, all right, for $100 a month, I'll give it a try. So for $100, my interest level went up. At $200, I was aware, but not quite interested. But as soon as they made me a better offer, my interest level went up because I could save some money. So I went and got the software for a month for $100. I didn't like the software, so I didn't keep it. The point is, my level of interest changed because they did something different. You understand? It's the same thing like with an iPhone. Like every year we know Apple puts out a new phone. So right now, I believe we're on the iPhone 16. Is that the newest iPhone 16? So around October of this year, they're going to put out the iPhone 17 or whatever they're going to call it. When iPhone 17 comes out, because it's a new version of the iPhone, even if it's not that much different than the last iPhone, a bunch of people are going to go buy it. Why? Because it's new. All right. So just giving people something that piques their interest will make their interest level change. Just because you offered a sale or a discount, or you're going to give me a 2-for-1 deal, or you got some new version of the thing that you're offering, or something changed in my personal situation. Now I'm interested in that thing. Again, maybe All of you know what lawyers are, and all of you know what most of you are familiar with a bail bondsman, right? You know what those are. Bail bondsman is a person basically can put the money up to get you out of jail if you get locked up. Now, many of you may know what a bail bondsman is, but you're aware, but you're not interested. Why? Because you ain't in jail. But as soon as you get arrested and you're in jail, now all of a sudden you are very interested in bail bondsmen because you need them. All right. So you see how your interest level can change based on changing circumstances. So interest means someone starts to see what you're about, and for whatever reason, it connects to their level of interest or their circumstance in life. So, for example, I can make you aware that I have videos online right now. I do. This is a fact. I got a bunch of videos online showing you how to slam dunk and do crossover dribbles in basketball, because I used to make content like that for 10 years back in the day. But if you're not interested in playing basketball, you could be aware that I have it, but you're not interested. You're never going to go watch those videos. Now, if you love basketball and you really want to get good, you might go start watching my content because you're interested. But it depends on you. It depends on your level of interest. The content didn't change. So interest means a welding of ideas between what you're offering and the needs of the market. So when we talk about a sales funnel, folks, and we talk about awareness and this thing about marketing, there's another thing. Your marketing does not need to be to everybody on the planet. So companies like Amazon, Nike, Google, Apple, I use them as a good example in my first point. But here I'm going to show you where you should not follow them, because these companies have huge marketing budgets and they can afford to throw money at marketing and not hold that money accountable to actually make money back. So if you run a business, you probably want every dollar you spend on marketing to be accounted for so that you know where that money's going and how it's going to make you money back. So a billboard, for example, that Apple puts up, they just have a picture of the phone and there's nothing else on there, just an iPhone, a logo for Apple. There's no way for them to track how much money they're making from that billboard. There's no way to track it. They just put the billboard up and whatever happens, happens. That's not the way you would want to market. Apple can afford to do that because they have millions of dollars to spend on marketing and they don't have to hold every dollar accountable because they're making more money and they can count. If you're not in that situation, you shouldn't do that. Your marketing needs to be targeted to a specific person or specific people at a specific place and in a specific time, so that your marketing is actually held accountable to actually produce a return on investment. Does everyone understand this? Big businesses can afford to waste money. You cannot afford to waste money. So to get people's interest, you need to identify whose interest do I actually want. So for example, if I was to try to copy what Apple does and have a billboard about, let's say, I used to make all these basketball videos. I got probably 8,000 basketball videos on YouTube to this very day. Still there, still public. And I want people to know about it. I should not just get a billboard and put it in the middle of town anywhere just because people will know about me, because most of the people who see that billboard probably don't play basketball and don't care. So they would see it, they're aware, but they're not interested. That's a problem for me, because now I'm spending money on awareness that is not going to turn into interest in any way, shape, or form, because I'm showing my material to a bunch of people who don't care. If I want to market to people, I should probably go do something like call up every high school basketball coach in the town and tell them what I have and ask them, can I run an ad somewhere that's going to get to all your players, or something in that realm. You understand what I'm saying? Or I might go to a basketball enthusiast website and try to put my ad on their website. Why? Because I know there's a bunch of people who play basketball. Or if I'm going to spend money on advertising, let's say I want to advertise on YouTube, I'm going to make sure my ads only show on videos that are talking about basketball. So there's a video, somebody debating LeBron versus Michael Jordan. I'll run my ad on that video. But if it's another video where someone's talking about the 6 stages of a sales funnel, I'm not putting my ad there, because most of the people watching it are probably in sales and not in basketball. You understand? So your advertising or your marketing doesn't have to be money spent, but any kind of marketing you do, you want to figure out, how do I target my marketing to people who might actually be interested in the thing that I'm offering? I can either make them get interested, which is a little bit of work, or even better, how do I find people who are already interested? That's really what you want to do. So any of you, I used bail bondsman as an example earlier. Any of you know anything about the bail bondsman business? Let me tell you where you can find bail bondsman offices. They're always right across the street from the jail. Y'all notice that? Bail bondsman offices are always right across the street from the jail, because that's where people are interested in bail bondsmen, right? When they're either in jail, or their best friend is in jail, or their mom is in jail and they got to get them out of jail. So the office is right across the street from the jail. You're not going to see a bail bondsman office in the middle of the mall. Why? Because in the mall, you don't need a bail bondsman. All right, they're in the right places at the right times for when people are interested. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? So you want to make sure that your marketing is targeted towards people, places, times, and situations where someone might be interested in what you have to offer. This is why you can look at another thing like rental car offices. Now, personally, I don't like doing rental cars like Hertz and Avis and what's the other places you can rent? Enterprise. I don't like renting cars from them anymore because they have way too much red tape, too much paperwork. They give you to run around. The people aren't nice. If you want to rent a car, I suggest you use an app like Turo, Turo, to rent a car. It's like person-to-person rent. It's like Airbnb for cars. And I don't have any cars available on Turo, so I'm not trying to promote myself. But I like using Turo a lot more than I like renting cars. And the other thing I always hated about renting cars is that when you rented a car, you would rent a certain class of car, but you couldn't choose the exact car. I always hated that. Like you you rent a standard size car and it'll be like Chrysler 300 or similar. And then you get to the rental car counter and they give you a Ford Taurus. I'm like, yo, I thought I was going to I didn't like that. I never liked that. That's a side note. But on Turo, you could pick the exact car, like literally the car that you want, you can pick it and then you rent straight from the person. I like Turo a lot better than rental cars. I'm bringing up rental cars for this point. That was a tangent. Notice that most rental car counters and rental car offices are where? Where are most rental cars located? If you want to rent a car, where are you going to find it at? Everybody knows they're all in the same place, airports. Rental car companies usually put locations in airports. Now, yes, sometimes you'll see them in random places in town. There'll be rental car places. They're either near airports or they're near hotels or they're near places that people may travel. Like here in Miami, there's a lot of cruise boats that go out. So you'll see rental car places near the cruise boats. Why? Because that's when people are interested in the car. Like, damn, we just got off the plane. We got to get around town. How do we get around town? Oh, we need a car. Go rent a car. Now, of course, they have competition now from like Uber and Lyft, et cetera, et cetera. But the point still stands. These days, y'all know taxis still exist. Now, if you live in a town like San Francisco or New York, you probably see taxis all the time. But in towns in which taxis are not as much of a normal thing because everybody's on Uber and Lyft, where do you often see taxis and cabs hanging out? At the airport. They just hang out at the airport. They hang out at the airport at the departure gate. See, they don't hang out at the arrivals gate. You don't see taxis hanging out at the arrivals gate. They hang out at the departure. I got it backwards. They don't hang out at the departures gate. They hang out at the arrivals gate. Why do they hang out at arrivals? Because when people get off the plane, they need to go home and they need a ride. And they might not want to wait for Uber or Lyft. And hey, here's a taxi. He's sitting right there. The taxi guys will get out the car and walk around like, hey, you need a taxi, you need a taxi, you need a taxi. Isn't that what they do? Why? Because they know that you are probably interested in going home. So that's why they hang out at the airport. So I want y'all just to understand, interest level is not just throw your stuff out there and hope somebody finds you. It's how do I strategically position myself to where people who might be interested in this thing for whatever reason, they're going to see it. How do I strategically place myself where they might find me? All right. That's what interest is all about. And I could talk all day about each of these points, but I want to move on. Number 3, we're talking here today about the 6 steps, the 6 stages of a sales funnel. Number 3 is consideration. Now, again, for some of you, this can happen 1, 2, 3 that fast, but not always. If you're at the grocery store and you are parched, you want something to drink, and you see an iced tea and you love iced tea, you may go from awareness to interest to consideration in the span of a split second, less than 1 second. You did all 3. You're like, don't want that iced tea. That's the 3rd step. 3rd step is when you actually start thinking about, will I actually do this or will I not do it? So now I'm actually thinking about your offer. So I saw your offer. I'm possibly interested in your offer. Now I'm thinking about, do I actually want to take advantage of this offer? You haven't done anything yet, but you're looking at it. So this is still just all happening in the mind. This is all thoughts. These are not actions, just thinking. So what if I did buy this book? What if I did do this thing? What if I did hire this company? What if I did go to this event? Consideration is when you start asking questions in your own head about, what if I take the next step here? This is the reason why when you look at anytime somebody is selling something, not anytime, but oftentimes when people are selling things, especially online, you'll notice that people often have an FAQ section, frequently asked questions. Why do they have this section on pages? The reason they have the frequently asked questions section is because the person who is selling, if they've done their homework, they have considered every question that is going on in your head when you're in the consideration phase, and they ask that question and answer it for you because they know that you're asking it in your mind. So they're basically trying to read your mind. That's the purpose of the FAQ section. So any of you ever sells anything on the internet, make sure your sales page has an FAQ section, because people do have questions and they want their questions answered. So either you got to have an FAQ section, or you got to have some kind of chat bot that will answer questions, or you got to be trying to get people to get on a conversation so you can answer all their questions or address whatever their needs are. But understand they have questions, and you better make sure those questions get answered, because this is what's happening in their head in the consideration phase. If you don't answer those questions, they will move on and they go right back to step number one with somebody else's product. So this is consideration. So this is when, again, questions go a bit deeper. Maybe you like what they're offering. Maybe you are interested in it. And now you're asking yourself, okay, how do I make this work? So if I'll go to a conference, for example, and I go to conferences several times a year. So let's say there's a marketing conference that I'm thinking about going to. So first they got to make me aware. So they got to run some ads, or they got to send me an email or something like, hey, Dre, we got this conference coming up in July in California, whatever it is. So now I'm aware of it. Am I interested in this conference? Yes, I'm interested because, and this is the reason, think about how people sell things to you. They'll tell you, hey, we're having this event. It's going to be in this beautiful place. Often they'll tell you it's going to be in a nice place. So it's a nice place that you want to go to. They're trying to raise your level of interest. They tell you, look, here are all the people who are going to be at the event. So we're going to have this speaker, that speaker, that speaker. They tell you all the people who are going to be there as guest speakers. You're like, damn, I love these three people. I want to hear them talk. That's raising your level of interest. Then they tell you, we get to stay at this beautiful resort and look at the pool, and look at the beach, and look at all these great things you can do when you're not inside the conference. What are they doing? Trying to raise your level of interest. They'll tell you, hey, if you get your ticket before this date, then you're going to get all these bonuses that come as extras. What is that doing? Raising your level of interest. Then they tell you the price of the ticket, and they tell you all the things you're going to get with the ticket, and they're going to tell you all the fun that you're going to have. That was that, raising the interest level. Then they'll show you videos and pictures from the event that they had last year, and they'll show you all these people having all this fun, and you're like, damn, I want to have fun too. What is the purpose of that? All of it is about raising your level of interest while you're in the consideration phase. While you're considering, do I want to do this or don't do it? Because when you're going to an event, there are a lot of hurdles you got to jump over. First of all, you got to pay for the ticket. Secondly, you have to travel. Third, you got to pay for a flight. Fourth, you got to pay for a hotel. Fifth, you can't be home doing whatever you do at home, taking care of your family and running your business. There's a lot of costs to go into attending an event. So you're thinking about all these costs when you're in the consideration phase. Damn, do I want to pay for that ticket? Do I want to pay for the flight? Do I want to pay for the hotel? Do I want to spend a week away from my family? Do I want to spend a week away from my business? You're considering all of these things, and what they're trying to do is overcome all of those by telling you how great the event is going to be, how much fun it is, and how you got to invest in yourself and how it's going to be worth it. So it's this back and forth game that they know you are having in your head, and they're jumping into that conversation to try to get you over the hump so that you make the decision to buy. Any of you who's in sales, understand this is all part of your job. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? This is your job, is to figure out what your prospect is thinking about and answer all their questions before they ask them. And if you don't do this, they're still asking the question, and you just failed to make a sale because you didn't do your job. That's the way it works. So this is the consideration phase. It's 8:55 a.m. right now. I might turn on my TikTok live stream in a minute when this suspension lifts in 1 minute. But let's continue where I'm at. I'm not going to start over. We're going to just keep going where we go, and they pick up where we pick up. So if I see you have an event, again, I'm aware, I'm interested. Now the consideration is all the things that I'm thinking I got to deal with if I come to your event. Am I willing to deal with all of those things in order to go to your, all these things I got to consider if I'm going to go to your event. They say you can start at 8:56. I don't know. Maybe it's not 8:56 yet. I'm trying to see if TikTok's going to let me start my live stream here. No, every time I open TikTok, they just start you watching some nonsense. I don't watch any videos on TikTok. Let's see. It's still saying the same thing. All right, we'll get to it in a second. So this is the consideration phase that we are talking about here. And when you're at consideration, you're asking about all the pieces that go with making a certain commitment. And there's usually a hurdle of commitment that someone has to jump over in order to move further. And we're only halfway through not consideration, but halfway through the whole process of going through the sales funnel. And that's why we move on to point number 4. Everybody with me so far? Number 4, we're talking here today about the 6 stages of the sales funnel. Number 4 is intent. Intent. I want you to notice something about these first 4 stages of the sales funnel is that you haven't actually done anything yet. All of this is happening in your head. You're aware, you're interested, you thought about it. Now you have an intention of actually doing something. You have an intention of doing something. You didn't actually do it. You're just thinking about doing it. And again, this can happen quickly. It can happen slowly. So men, when you're out and about, you see a woman you're interested in, all 4 of these steps can happen almost instantaneously. But most men, they don't. Most men pause at step number 3. But if you're fully confident and you do what I would suggest you do, you go all the way to step number 4, at least all the way to step number 4, which is you see a woman you're aware of her, you're interested in her. You think about, should I approach her? And then you intend to approach her. This should all happen in the span of like 2 seconds. Now, when you hesitate at step number 3, then you're losing all your momentum. And any salesperson, if you're any good, you want to move people through these steps as quickly as possible as well. So intention is where I am ready to make a move. I'm ready to do something. Now, I'm using certain language here for a specific reason. Just because someone is ready to do something does not mean that they actually did it. How many of you has ever had the intention of doing something, but you didn't actually do it? Okay, everybody's had that. So just because you have the intention of doing something does not mean that you've actually done it. And I'm gonna loop TikTok into this conversation right now. All right, TikTok will be coming into this conversation in a moment. We're going to continue where we're going. So intention is when you are telling yourself that you want to do a thing, but you still haven't done it yet. This is when you look even deeper into the offering and are you going to go to this event? You're going to sign up for this program. You're going to buy this course. Now you're like checking your account. All right, do I actually have the money to pay for this? All right, do I need to move some money from the savings to the checking account? Or do I need to clear this with my husband or my wife before I make the purchase? Am I going to have enough money to pay the rest of my bills after I buy this thing? So the intention step is when you're like, all right, can I actually make this happen? Can I clear my schedule for a week? Can I arrange a babysitter for the kids? Can I see the available flights to go to the city I need to get to? See, when you're on the intention stage, this is when you're starting to get all your ducks in a row. All right, how do I actually make this thing happen? All right, that's the intention stage. So good morning to everybody over there on TikTok. For those of you who have been missing me for the last week, I got suspended for a week from TikTok. And there was no way I could let you all know that I got suspended. That's the whole point of suspension, is they block you from communicating. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio just in case this happens again, and guarantee you it will happen again. I will get suspended on TikTok again. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so the next time this happens, y'all know where to find me. I've been going live every day since then. Y'all just didn't know. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. What we're talking about here today, TikTok, we're talking about the 6 stages of the sales funnel. I will recap these 6 stages when I'm done, but I'm on step number 4 right now. We're already in the middle of a conversation on the other 6 platforms. So I'm on step number 4. We're talking about intention. So intention, ladies and gentlemen, is where a lot of people end up stalled out. A lot of people stall out at the intention phase. Intention, again, is the phase when you mean to do a thing, but you didn't actually do it. How many of you have found yourself guilty of this? I would venture to guess that many of you who are listening to me right now, you are in the intention phase in some aspect of your life. You intend to do something, but you haven't done a damn thing yet. How many of you would be willing to be honest and admit that that's where you're at? That's the intention phase. I meant to do that. I was going to do that. I was thinking about doing that. I was getting ready to do that. Oh yeah, I saw that, but I didn't do anything. I was supposed to do that, but I didn't send an email. I didn't text that person. I was supposed to call them back, but I didn't call them back. How many of you have ever found yourself in that position? Everybody has. This is the intention phase. Your job, ladies and gentlemen, your job, when you get to the intention phase, or actually, excuse me, let me back up. As a salesperson, when your prospect gets to the intention phase, this is when it is your job to close the damn deal. This is what we call closing. All right, any of you who's in sales, you understand that the close is one of the most important aspects of the deal, because if you don't close the deal, no money gets made, and your prospect does not get the product or service they're thinking about. Nobody gets anything if you don't close the deal. When someone gets to the intention stage, it's like they're right on the threshold. All they got to do is get one little bump to cross the threshold, and if you don't help them cross that threshold, you lose, they lose, everybody loses. And I'm gonna answer all questions and comments at the end, but I see Rachel said, what software do I use to go live? Well, I'm getting on each app, so I'm using 3 different devices right now, Rachel. So I have one of my old phones I use as a device. I have an iPad and I have a laptop. So on my laptop, I'm doing YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I'm streaming 5 different places on my laptop. Instagram is this one directly in front of me, and TikTok is this one to my right. And again, to all the people who are watching on TikTok, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you all again. I was suspended for an entire week from TikTok when I was in the middle of talking about that bishop who was out of line for trying to scold Donald Trump. If y'all remember that, they kicked me off TikTok right in the middle of my stream. I couldn't tell you all they kicked me off. That's what happened. I got suspended for a week. This is the 5th time I've been suspended on TikTok. since September of last year. I will get suspended again. So I'm reminding all of you, if you ever get on here on a Monday through a Friday and you don't see me and I didn't tell you I wasn't coming, it's because I got suspended. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm live on YouTube right now. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so that next time I get suspended, or if I get banned outright from TikTok, which might be happening, then you always come to my YouTube channel. So for those of you on TikTok who have not seen me since last Thursday, I have been streaming every day since then. Y'all just didn't see it because I couldn't stream on TikTok. All the replays are on my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel, YouTube is live right over here. Just click the link in my profile on TikTok. You'll see the link to my YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'll answer one more question from Rachel. She said, why did I get suspended? I violated the allegedly the hate speech laws, or rules, not laws, but rules that they have over on TikTok. They said there are some rules that I violated on hate speech. The challenge with the community guidelines on every app is that if you violate them, they'll tell you that you violated, but they don't tell you exactly what you said. So I don't know specifically what I said that violated the rule, but they told me I violated the rule, and it's their platform, and that's all you get. So that's what happened. So anyway, what we're talking about here today, for those of you on TikTok who are just joining in, I'm in the middle of talking about the 6 stages of the sales funnel. I will recap these stages when I get done, but I'm already on stage number 4, and the stage number 4 is intent. So far we talked about awareness, interest, consideration, and step number 4 is intent. This is when you intend to take an action. So the question I was asking the audience is, how many of you has ever found yourself in a position where you intended to take an action, but you stalled out at the intention stage? You meant to do something, but you didn't actually do it. You meant to follow through, but you didn't actually finish the deal. And this is why, as a salesperson, all of you who are in sales, and by the way, everybody here is in sales, when you know that your prospect is at the intention stage, it is your job to close the deal. This is what we call closing in sales. This is literally what closing is. Excuse me. Somebody is interested and they intend to do something. You cannot hope that they finish the deal. Human beings, 3 things, human beings by nature. Human beings are slow to make decisions. Human beings are slow to think about things. They slow to think about things first, slow to make decisions second. That's the intention stage. And they're very slow to take action. Your job is to help them speed all of those processes up, which condenses time frames and moves up timelines in life. Moving on to point number 5. We're talking here today about the 6 stages of the sales funnel. Number 5 is evaluation. Evaluation. What does evaluation mean? This is when someone is looking through all your FAQs, frequently asked questions, to get all their questions answered. This is when they look through some of your testimonials. They watch some of your case study videos. They start Googling you to find out what you're really about. They go, and if they know somebody who knows about you, say, hey, have you ever heard of this person? You ever heard of this guy, Dre Baldwin? What do you think about him? They go look up all your social medias to see what you're talking about and see what you're posting. They try to find out if there is alignment between where they're at and where you're at. They may go listen to some of your free stuff that you put out. They may go watch some of your interviews from the past. This is when they're really doing a deep evaluation and really considering, is this the person I'm going to move forward with? In the political world, they call this the vetting process. I know what vetting is. Vetting is like if Trump decides I'm going to appoint this person to my cabinet. The vetting is when his people, who you'll never heard or hear of, they go do basically they do a private investigation into your life. That's pretty much what the vetting process is. They basically going to dive deep into all the shit you've ever done in your life, find out all the dirt they can find on you, find all the good stuff too, and they're going to look at all that and ask themselves, okay, can we put this person in front of the United States and say we want this person to lead us, despite all the stuff that we found, despite all the dirt, and we know there's going to get used against them? Are we willing to put our reputations on the line to stand behind this person? You see this happening with the hearings happening right now. You saw RFK Jr. yesterday. You saw Pam Bondi. You saw Pete Hegseth. The whole purpose is the Republican side did a whole bunch of evaluation, a bunch of vetting of those people before they put them in front of the country, because they know when they put them in front of the country, because of the dislike for Trump and because it's Democrat, Republican, all the Democrats are going to try to trash the person and make them look bad. And then they know that's going to happen. So the question is, are we prepared for that? It's not, are they going to surprise us with anything? Because there are no surprises. They already know everything. Question is, are we willing to stand behind this person despite the fact that all of the dirt that we found in vetting them is going to get used against them when we put them out into the public? That's what the evaluation process is. It's the same thing for you. Now, you are not being privately investigated by your customers, but they are looking into you. So somebody right now, any of you who sells anything online, there's someone who came on your webpage or your sales page or your funnel or whatever, and they saw your stuff, or they saw you on social media and they see you sell a coaching program or a course, and they want to buy your course. They're interested in your course. They intend to buy your course, but before they buy it, here's what they're going to do. They're going to Google you. They're going to look you up. They're going to Google your name, and they're going to put the word scam after it. Is it a scam? This is what people do. Trust me, I've been around, so I know this is what people do. They're going to find out if you're a scam. They're going to read a bunch of your reviews. They're going to read the negative ones that they can find. They're going to look at you up on YouTube. They're going to look at all your socials. They're going to look through a bunch of your posts and see what you're talking about and how you talk. And they're going to figure out, do I really want to do this? And this process could take days or weeks, not minutes. You come across a prospect who can make this decision in minutes, you have found gold. Most human beings, I just told you this, 3 things about people. People think slow, they decide slow, and they move slow. People usually just take their time. People are just very slow of doing things. So this is when people, again, do all this background as much as they can. And a last second check through of everything that you're offering. They talk to somebody else who knows you if they're thinking about it. As a matter of fact, there's a program that I'm thinking about joining. And I was looking at this person's program yesterday morning, and they had a bunch of case studies, like examples of people who've been through the program and said good stuff about it. Many of you call those testimonials. And I saw somebody in one of the testimonials who I know personally. So I sent the message to the person I know personally and said, yo, I'm thinking about joining program ABC. I saw you on there as one of their testimonials. And I just asked him, what did you say about the program? Would you join it again? Was it worth the investment? Do you think I should join it? And I'm waiting for a response back from that person. The whole point is, this is part of my evaluation process. And one of the best ways to evaluate something is to talk to somebody who you already know, like, and trust about it. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, it's very good to sell through referral. Do all you know what a referral is? And again, when I say sell, I don't necessarily mean you need to be an entrepreneur. If you're trying to get a job, if you get your job through a referral, that's better than trying to get the job cold. Why? Because if you come in through a referral, then you speed through the 6 phases of the sales funnel without having to be coldly evaluated on every single step. That's why referrals matter so much. So when I hear back from this person that I know and they say, Dre, that program was amazing. It was worth 100 times what I invested in it. You'd be stupid to not join. I'm not going to do that much more evaluation because I trust that guy. I'm going to take his word. I'm going to join the program without thinking about it. If he says that. Now, what if I don't hear from him, or he says nothing, or he says it was all right? Then I might still evaluate. I may change my mind. But if I get a ringing endorsement from a referral, if I'm selling something, as a matter of fact, let me say it this way, and I have a bunch of ringing endorsements from the people who've already been through my world, that builds up what we call social proof. And that social proof greases the funnel so that people go through the funnel a lot faster. Everybody understand? This is the reason why we use social proof. It's the reason why you go to anybody's sales page on the internet. They usually got a bunch of testimonials and case studies and people saying positive things about them. Why? Because that makes it easier for you, the next customer, to make a decision to buy. Because you see other people did it and other people said good stuff. Okay, so all these people can't be wrong. Let me go buy the product. There's a reason why you see social proof on everybody's website. We got a whole book over here. I'll even show you. So we got a whole book right here, and Work on Your Game Incorporated. It says, you see what it says? What they say about Dre Baldwin and Work on Your Game Incorporated. This is an entire book. How many pages is this book? Last time I updated it, it is literally 100 pages. 100 pages of what? Case studies and testimonials of people saying positive stuff about me and about our business and about the products and services that we sell. All right. This is social proof. All right. You need to have this. If you're going to sell anything on the internet these days, you must have social proof. Why? Because it makes it easier for other people to evaluate you and make a decision that your stuff must be good, because 1,000 people can't be wrong. Does that work? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Human beings respond to social cues. If it looks like everybody else has bought into a thing, they are more likely to buy into it. That's evaluation. So any of you want to sell better, get social proof. Get as much as you possibly can. Anything that you come across with somebody's talking good about you, save it, screenshot it, download it, put it all in one place. That's social proof. You must have it. Last step. We're talking here today about the 6 phases of the sales funnel. I'll take questions and comments in a moment as soon as I get done with this. Number 6 is purchase. This is actually buying. This is when someone enters their credit card information on the website. This is when someone hands you the money. Notice you got to go through all 5 steps before you get someone to actually do something, which is to buy. And as I said earlier, sometimes you go through this process very quickly. And Rachel, I'm going to answer that question in 1 second. Give me one more. Let me get through all these points and I'll answer your question. So the purchase stage, sometimes, again, you can go through these steps quickly. If you're in a grocery store and you see a candy bar that you want, it's not like you go home and Google it. You look at it. You're aware of it. You get interested. You consider it. you evaluate it, you have intent to buy, you evaluate it, and then you buy it. That all could happen in like 5 seconds. All right, I see that candy bar. Do I want a candy bar? Yes, grab the candy bar, put it on the belt, pay $1 for it. Boom, you got your candy bar. That can happen in, again, 5 seconds. But on the other hand, if I'm trying to buy a house, again, it might take me a year before I buy the house. Even though I was thinking about it a year ago, it might be a year before I get the house. So it depends on what you're selling, who you're selling it to, what the situation is, have things changed, has the circumstances changed over time. All of this is part of the game. So the purchase is the last step of the sales funnel. And I want you all to understand, as I already explained to you, all of you go through sales funnels all the time. So any of you with a phone, all of you got a phone, right? Okay, so when you're ready to buy a new phone, first things you think about it. I want a new phone. And sometimes, again, awareness doesn't come just out of nowhere. Awareness is not something that just pops into your head. You don't just wake up one day like, I want an iPhone. That didn't happen to any of you. The reason that you want an iPhone is because Apple did a whole bunch of marketing to remind you or to inform you that they had a phone that you probably wanted. So you understand how marketing creates awareness. So I'm recapping the 6 steps here, okay, for everybody to catch. The first step in the sales funnel is awareness. The way that you get people aware of what you're selling is you market. Marketing creates awareness. So some of you who are listening to me right now never heard of me until you just stumbled across a live stream that I was doing, and now you are aware of my presence. And the reason you're aware of it is because I took the initiative to do a live stream. So this is what I want you all to understand as salespeople. Your job as a marketer, and if you're an entrepreneur or salesperson, your main job is marketing. Okay, I'm using those words. I don't want you to, there's a separation between these words. Entrepreneur is a person who runs a business while taking on greater than normal financial risk. Sales is the process of showing your product and services, asking for the money. Marketing is the relationship and the communication that puts you in a position to make sales. If you're an entrepreneur, your main job is marketing, because marketing makes selling easy. Does everybody understand the difference between these 3 phrases? Do not conflate these. Entrepreneurs must sell, of course, but in order to sell, you must market. You market, get the right people in the room, then you sell them what you want to offer them because they're already interested in the thing. Your marketing makes your selling easy. Marketing is like the setup for selling. All right. The marketing is like the jab, and selling is like the right hand. All right, if you're a right-handed fighter, if you follow that analogy. So the first thing is awareness. You do a whole bunch of marketing to get as much awareness as possible, and understand that even after you have a lot of awareness, you keep marketing. This is the reason why companies like Apple spend $1 million a day on marketing. Nike, Amazon, Google, these companies spend millions of dollars every single day on marketing, even though they already have a whole lot of customers. Why? Because they understand that if they stop marketing to you, you will forget about them, and therefore you will not buy. So marketing is an ongoing job that never ends. Okay. And marketing does not mean you have to spend money on advertising. Marketing means you need to do something to get people who might be interested in you to know that you exist. All right. What am I doing right now? This doesn't cost me money. I'm doing it though. You can put in sweat equity or time if you don't want to put in money. Or ideally, you do everything. You put in money, you put in time, you put in sweat, you put in everything you can to market. Why? Because the better your marketing is, the more willing prospects you get in front of you. And the more prospects you get in front of you, as long as you have any skill at selling, you're going to make money. All right. That's the way entrepreneurship works, if you wanted it broken down in very simple terms. Number 2 is interest. Interest is after someone's aware of you, because you can be aware of a whole lot of things, but not interested. I'm aware of Starbucks, but I don't drink coffee. So I'm aware, but I'm not interested. Interest is when someone starts to see what you're about and they connected to something that they may be interested in. So interest means, okay, I see it and I may possibly want it. And again, may possibly want it. Doesn't mean they have done anything yet. Number 3 is consideration. That's when someone actually starts thinking about, is this something that I actually want to do? And I want you all to remember that this process can happen very quickly or it can happen very slowly. It depends on the situation, depends on who the person, circumstance, and what is being sold. Consideration is when you think about it. Step number 4 is intent. Okay, now I actually intend to do something here. And I want you to understand a lot of human beings stall out here because a lot of human beings are very hesitant to take action. Any of you who's ever been in sales, you know this very well. And if you ever get in sales, you will learn this very well. Human beings will have all the intention of doing something and still not do shit. Your job as a salesperson is to help them do something that they intend to do. This is called closing. All right, the job of closing is to get people to go from intention to action. They are not the same thing. If you consider an intention a win, you're going to have a whole lot of maybe sales that never become actual closes. And when someone's at the intent step, your job as a closer is to close the deal. Do not let them get off the phone. Don't let them leave the office. Don't let them leave the venue, because you ain't making that money if you let them walk out the room. Any of you who's ever been in sales, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Number 5, evaluation. This is when people go deeper into your stuff. They go ask a friend about you. They go ask somebody they trust. What do they think about taking this action? They go read all your testimonials, or they read through you. They Google you. They go find out if you're a scam or not. And then they are maybe ready to make a decision. And then the last step is when they actually do something. That's called purchasing. Credit card info entered. They hand you some cash, et cetera, et cetera. These are the 6 phases of the sales funnel. I know somebody maybe asked, yes, this video, I'm going to put the replay on YouTube so all of you understand this. These 6 steps are what everyone must follow if you're going to sell anything. And you've ever bought anything, you followed all 6 of these steps. I'll tell you the steps one more time very quickly. First is awareness. Second is interest. Third is consideration. Fourth is intent. Fifth is evaluation. And 6 is when they actually do something. You got to move people through all 5 stages in order to get to stage number 6. That can happen in 30 seconds. It can happen in 30 minutes, or it might take 30 weeks in order for it to happen, depending on what is being sold. All that being said, let me take questions and comments. Over on YouTube, Matt Villainy said, I want to have a show like this eventually. I probably wouldn't have written any books, though. You don't have to write books to do this. Books are extra. You can live stream. You don't need to have done anything to live stream. If you get people who want to hear what you have to say, keep doing it. Rachel said, do I talk about all the strategies you use to get traffic to your sales funnels? Of course I do, Rachel. I talk about everything. Anything, for all of you who are watching me, anything that you see me doing, even if I'm not talking about it, I teach people how to do these things. So for everyone to understand, my superpower, my best skill as a professional is not necessarily a sales funnel or a mindset or business or basketball or any of those things. My best skill is my ability to take any subject, break it down, and make it easy, not only to understand, but also to absorb, apply, and actually use yourself. That's what I do best. I can take any subject, break it down, and make it easy for anybody to understand it, even if you came into the room knowing absolutely nothing about the topic. So some of you who have listened to, if you listen to everything that I said here today, maybe you never even thought about the phases of a sales funnel, but now that I've explained it, it makes perfect sense, right? All right, that's what I do. So Rachel said, I meant to ask, can I share how you get people into your sales funnel? Rachel, that's like a whole book's worth of material you're asking me for. There are entire books written on how to get people into a sales funnel. That's a very deep question. If you ask me something more specific, I can answer it, but that's a very deep question. I just gave you 80 minutes on a sales funnel. I can do another 80 minutes answering that question. If you ask me something specific, I can answer it. And also, I have other material. If you send a DM to me, I'll have my assistant send you some links of stuff I've created in the past about how to do all these things. So let me see what we got over on TikTok. Brittany, good to see you again. I feel like getting out of jail. I got out of TikTok jail. So I was in jail for a week. For, again, those of you watching on TikTok. Tomorrow, we're going to be back talking current events. And I got a whole bunch of topics that I've saved up and been holding on to until I got back on TikTok so they can get me suspended again. Next time I get suspended, I'm going to make sure I earn it. But I will get suspended again on TikTok. So those of y'all watching on TikTok, please subscribe to my YouTube channel because this will happen again. I am going to get suspended again. I guarantee it. I'm predicting it. Okay, so I don't know if we got any comments on TikTok. I'm just scrolling through. Good to see those of you who jumped in. Thank you, Nico. Good to see you. Tara said, learn what words you violated. I didn't say any specific words. The thing is, I know what words not to say. What happened last week on TikTok was that some people who were listening to me didn't like what I was saying. And I think there's a way when you're watching a live on TikTok, you can flag it and then you can just tap whatever the violation you are accusing the speaker of. And if enough people do it, then TikTok shuts you down and then you can appeal. And then TikTok takes a look and then they decide yes or no. And they decided, yes, you violated, so you're suspended for a week. It wasn't the word that I said because I know what words to not say. I've been suspended enough to know that. So what happened is I pissed off too many people who were watching my live. And sometimes that happens when you fly too close to the sun. Because that day I got kicked off, it was like I probably like 400 or 500 people concurrently watching my live. And if you ever have that many people watching a live stream and you're talking about a current event, guaranteed half of them don't like what you're saying. So that's how it works. Rachel said the strategies that work for you now for a membership. Again, that's also a very broad question, Rachel. So what I would say there is, number one, you have to figure out who your target person is and ask yourself what type of things are they dealing with right now. And then you make material that's based on answering that question, and that will get their attention. That's how you get the awareness. At least that's where you start. But again, what you're asking is that's it. I can do 2 hours answering that question. So I'm giving you something that's basic, but I could do 2 hours on that. That's a very broad question. Good question, but a broad question. So Ruby Doobie 2 said evaluation. Yes. That was the next step. That was step number 5, evaluation. That's when people read your case studies and look at your testimonials and they ask their friends what they think about you and they Google you to find out if you're a scam. That's when they're evaluating. That's when they're like right about to do something. Ruby said they're going to find all my hand sanitizer memes from my banned Facebook accounts. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. That's when people just start Googling you because they're really about to do something. Brittany said you are being shadow banned currently. Hopefully not. We'll see, Brittany. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow when I get back to talking about current events. Right now, I'm talking about sales, which is not nearly as exciting as talking about Donald Trump. So we'll see tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to tell y'all what we're going to talk about tomorrow, as a matter of fact, in a minute. Let me get through these comments and I'll tell y'all what's coming, because tomorrow is Friday, right? Yeah, so tomorrow's Friday. We're going to close out the week with a bang. Ruby said, not for me. My phone turned on to this. That's what's up. Mando, I don't even know who that is. I don't know if that's a joke, but I don't know what that is. Mr. Freeze is on fire. Who's Mr. Freeze? Dr. Michelle Henry got the number 2 gifter badge. Good stuff. Deron Slater, good morning. So I'm finally back on TikTok after I got suspended for a week off TikTok. Darren said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The topic here today is literally the sales funnel. Deron, I brought y'all in late. I was on step number 4 by the time I turned on TikTok, because my suspension ended officially at 8:56 a.m. So I couldn't even start it any earlier. So yes, what I talked about here today was the 6 stages of the sales funnel that every customer goes through, and every salesperson must take your customer through. You don't have to do it yourself personally, but they have to go through these steps. So awareness is the reason why we run ads and create content. So the awareness can be working for you even when you're not working. Intention also works. Consideration also works for you. All of these things work. All these things work for you if you set your business up the right way. Interest, was the second step. Third step is consideration, that they're thinking about it. Intention. All of these can happen without you ever talking to your customer. The first 4 steps happen without you talking to them. Even step 5 can happen without you talking to them. And even step 6. If you're selling things on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, understand you can take people through all 6 stages of the sales funnel without you ever having a conversation with the person. You can get them aware of you because you put material out there or you run ads. They are interested because they're interested. That's why they're interested. Third is to consider you. That's thinking in their own head. Fourth is the intention to buy. Fifth is to evaluate you. And then 6 is to buy. You can have all of that on one sales page. One sales page can take them through all 6 steps. But that's where the design of your sales page comes in, and you knowing your customer comes in. So the better you know your customer, the better you know your market, the more smoothly you can take them through this whole process without any friction or losing anybody. That's the job of a salesperson. Ruby said, absolute gold. I'm soaking it up like a sponge. Well, I wish y'all had been here from the beginning so y'all could hear the whole thing. Darren said, I'm sick of it. Well, some things on it I'm sick of, but I'm glad because TikTok has a great algorithm for live streaming. So when I do live streams talking current events, I get a lot of people on here. That's the only reason why I keep coming back to it. If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't keep coming back. Yeah, TikTok is on their things. But we'll see. Maybe the government's trying to force their hand right now, so we'll see what happens. Ruby, yes, it was hurt feelings. The thing is, hurt feelings can get you suspended off TikTok for a week. All right, trust me, I know. That's the thing. Miss Know-It-All says, I don't always like what you say, but I respect your right to say it. Well, I appreciate that. Those are the kind of people I'm looking for. But sometimes when you get a lot of attention, not everybody feels that way. That's how it works. Darren said, you ever study psychology of sales? Absolutely. I study human psychology, period. I mean, it's not like as a student, but human psychology is a big part of what I do. Miss Know-It-All said, finally, someone who may move past critical thinking. Yes, Darren, I appreciate that. Someone said, you resemble Mr. Freeze, the baddest, hottest cast member of The Incredibles. I don't even know what Mr. Freeze looks like. Let me Google him so I can see if that's a compliment or an insult. Mr. Freeze from The Incredibles. Let's see what he looks like. I never heard of Mr. Freeze from The Incredibles. I don't watch cartoons. But let's see. Mr. Freeze, The Incredibles. Let's see what he looks like. Mr. Freeze. How do I look like this guy? This is Mr. Freeze. What about me looks like him? I don't know. This sounds like racism. Is it just because he's black? Is Mr. Freeze black? Or is he white? I don't think I look like this guy. This is Mr. Freeze. I don't know anything about this cartoon shit that y'all talking about. I never heard of this guy. Only Freeze I heard of was the guy at the baseball stadium that races people around the warning track. That's the only Freeze I heard of. And he would dress like this, but I guess that's the same. He's supposed to be the same guy. Only thing I see resemblance to Mr. Freeze is that it looks like he's tall and he's thin and he's black. But other than that, I don't see much more resemblance. Tall, thin, and black, we all look the same. Is that what it is? All right, that's fine. So tomorrow, let me tell you what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That I got a lot of material. Good morning, AU Hunter. Good to see you. Someone said not the cartoon, the movie. I don't know the difference. I don't know the difference between the cartoon and the movie. I told you I don't watch that stuff, so I have no idea what y'all are talking about. So what we are going to talk about next, we did the 6 stages of the sales funnel. Actually, y'all can help me decide what we should talk about next because I got a whole bunch of topics, current events. I want to talk about equity and equality. I want to talk about why they are both mythical. Neither one of them will ever happen. So equity and equality is one option. I'm going to talk about the dismantling of DEI. I'm going to talk about why Christianity gets openly disrespected. And I got a bunch of other topics, but let's just go between those three. So, all right, here are the 3 choices. And y'all can just put in the comments which one I should talk about tomorrow. I either talk about equity and equality as one. So you put the letter E for that. Dismantling of DEI, put the letter D. Or why Christianity is openly disrespected in America, put the letter C. So C for Christianity, D for DEI, or E for equity. I could talk about any one of these 3. We'll eventually get to all 3. But which one should I talk about tomorrow? Either equity, put the letter E, DEI, the letter D, or Christianity, the letter C. Those are the 3 options. All of them will eventually be addressed. But tomorrow's Friday, then we won't be back till Monday. So which one should we do? Equity, DEI, or Christianity? And any one of these could get me suspended from TikTok again. Just so you know. Those of you watching on TikTok, again, click the link in my profile and subscribe to my YouTube because I will get banned from TikTok again. Maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. So I see an E, I see a D, I see a C. So, all right, we're even right now. We got E, D, and C. Let's see what we got over on TikTok. We got an E, a C, a C, a C. We got an E, D, and a C. We got D's and D's. Someone said LMAO on the C. All right, I guess we got to do the C. The C pretty much won. Yeah, I think tomorrow we're going to do Christianity. So tomorrow I'm going to explain to you all why Christianity is so openly disrespected in the United States of America. And this is going to be, so the last live I did on TikTok, I got kicked off because I was pissing off. I think I was pissing off a lot of people in the rainbow world because I was saying that what this woman was pushing was support for those folks while she's representing the church, which made no sense. And tomorrow I'm going to maybe piss off some of you who are Christians who are against that, but I'm going to tell you why Christianity is not getting the same respect that other religions get in the United States, especially around the world. And I believe Christians need to be held accountable for that. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean tomorrow in my live stream. So I already got the points laid out. I already know exactly what is going to get said. I'm going to put all that on paper, quote unquote, tomorrow in my live. So tomorrow's live, y'all know it's coming, 8 a.m. Eastern. Why Christianity is continually, openly disrespected in the United States of America, actually around the world. Y'all saw the Olympics. Y'all saw the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Could they have done that to any other religion? I'll just let you sit with that question until we get here tomorrow. But that's what we're going to talk about here tomorrow. Why Christianity gets openly disrespected. And Ruby said, I believe you and only you can up my business game. Well, Ruby, you need to be in Work on Your Game University. That link is in my bio. Michelle said, interesting topic. Yes, it will be a very interesting topic. Forever said, got to give respect to get respect. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Forever evolving. But we'll see when we get into the topic here tomorrow. I'm going to explain this out. And this is something that I'm going to say all this again tomorrow. But this is something I've been talking to. I know people who are active Christians, like go to church every Sunday, read the Bible consistently, Christians. And I've been talking to them about this for like 3 or 4 years. Like, do y'all see what people are just openly disrespecting Christianity? And I don't hear Christians saying anything. And it's one of the things we're going to talk about here tomorrow. But I've been talking to Christians about this for a while. And I remember one of them said to me, well, we don't have to get in it like that. You know, they had some languaging around it. Like, you know, the word stands on its own and people want to be openly nasty about it. We don't go in and argue with them and fight with them. We don't do that. That's what they were saying. And then in 2024, late 2024, they were coming back to me and saying, you know what, Dre, I remember you said that a few years ago. You're kind of right, because now it's kind of getting out of hand. It's been getting out of hand. Now it's obvious that it's out of hand, and tomorrow we're going to get into that. So that's what's going to happen next. Ruby said, I wish you could speak to our university kids. You work at a school? What college you work at, Ruby? I will tell you up front, Ruby, that most universities in America would never book me to stand on the stage. Not even schools that I went to would book me to stand on the stage because I say too many things. I've said some things on the internet, at least that's what I've heard. I said too many things on the internet that any of their students, remember I told you the 6 phases of the sales funnel? Step number 5 is evaluation. So if someone is thinking about booking me to come speak at a college, here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, oh, Dre Baldwin, he's great. And he's good. He talks about this. He talks about that. And then they're getting to the last step right before they send me an email or call me and say, Dre, we want to come book you. How much we got to pay you? Right before they do that, they're going to Google me and see, has Dre talked about anything that might be controversial? And then when they see what they see, they're going to say, oh, never mind. This is the reason why you don't see me speaking at colleges. Not because I don't have something to offer to students, but because, especially at liberal universities these days, my opinions are not going to go over too well. I'll tell y'all a story. Can I tell y'all a story? So it's 2025 now. So what year was this? This is probably about 2021. About 2021, a guy reached out to me. I will say he was a black guy, and he worked at a university. I won't say where the university was. I will say that school was in the state of Ohio. That's all I'll tell you. It was a school in the state of Ohio, and there are a million schools in every state, so you wouldn't even know what this is. So this guy is a black guy. He worked in the school in the state of Ohio. He worked in the entrepreneurship department. And this gentleman reached out to me and said, I saw you or heard you on somebody's podcast talking about business, and I like your approach. I like what you were talking about. I like the fact that you're a former athlete, and now you talk about business, and you kind of translated the topics over, and he was interested. Now, he's an older guy. He's probably 70-something years old, and he used to play ball back in the day. So he connected to me, like there was a connection between my approach and his background. So he wanted to bring me in, and he said, look, every year we have this event for our entrepreneurship major students, and we bring in speakers, and we want you to be one of the speakers. So we started to have a conversation, and he said, well, I got to tell you up front, Dre, and if you know anything about the bureaucratics of academia, he said, I got to tell you up front, this decision is not just my decision. And as soon as he said that, I said, I pretty much knew it wasn't going to happen. As soon as he said that, I knew it wasn't going to happen. Because he's like, we got to talk to the athletic director and this people over here and these people over here. Any of you ever done any business with a college or university, you understand there's a bunch of red tape. So whoever actually is interested in you initially, they got a boss and their boss has a boss. And then there's like 8 people involved in the situation. Then the finance department's involved, and then the dean of students gets involved. And before you know, it's like 7 people CC'd on every email. I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do any business where 7 people got to sign off on it at a college or university, because it's guaranteed one of those 7 people is going to have heard me say something that pisses them off or annoys them or offends them, and they're going to kill the deal. I knew as soon as he said it, that's what's going to happen. But I kept talking to him because he was a nice guy. So he was like, next thing we're going to do, we're going to have a conversation between me, that's him, this black guy who worked in the entrepreneurship department, the athletic director, who also happened to be a black guy, and some other dude who I don't know what part of the university he worked at. He was also a black dude. So about 3 weeks later, we get on a Zoom call. Okay, so I'm on a Zoom call. It's me, black guy, used to play sports, now in business. The black guy who initially reached out to me, former athlete, works at the school in the entrepreneurship department. Athletic director. He used to play ball. He's the athletic director. He's also black. And his other guy, guess what his job was? It was a black guy. Y'all want to know what his job was at the college? Y'all want to guess? Anybody want to guess what his job was? Somebody guess. I think one of you might get it right. Because as soon as he told me what the job was, I'll tell you up front. As soon as he told me what his job was, I had to, and we're on Zoom, right? They're on a Zoom call. I had to kind of bite my lip to keep from laughing as soon as he told me what his job was. Anybody want to guess what his job was? A.U. Hunter, you got it right. He was the head of the department. And as soon as he said that, this guy is a black guy, right? So he starts talking and introducing himself because I didn't know who he was. So first the guy who introduced me, he talks. Then the athletic director talks. And I was like, all right, cool. We used to play ball too. Cool. Then this other guy starts talking. And he starts saying what his job is. This guy was the head of the diversity, equity, and inclusion department of the college. And as soon as he said that, I said, ain't no way this gig is happening. No fucking way. This is not happening. He was the head of the DEI office at the university. I wonder what he's doing now. So anyway, he introduces himself. I had to keep myself from laughing, honestly, because again, we're on Zoom. So they're looking right at me while we're talking. And we have a little conversation, and it was nothing. And what's funny is the DEI guy didn't even say anything. I mean, he introduced himself, but he didn't say much. what happened is the athletic director, this other guy, he used to play ball. He was about my age because remember, the guy who introduced me, he's like 70. The guy who was the athletic director, he's like 40. He gets on there, and I guess he had Googled me before the conversation. And he had came, and when you Google me, I guess what comes up is my X profile, because on X, I have open conversations talking about whatever with whoever on X. So any of you want to have conversation with me, dialogue with me, go on X. I will engage with you if you ask a quality question. And that particular day, I was calling this dude a feminine energy man because that's what he was acting like. It was some dude was talking shit to me and we were having some dialogue about some subject. And I said, dude, you're acting like a feminine energy man. That's what I called him right there on my X profile. And I guess it was showing up on Google because it was like the last thing that I had posted. So the athletic director, he says to me, Dre, you know, it's cool that you're interested in coming and speaking. And it sounds like you have good topics, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, I Googled you and I saw on your X profile, you were saying something about feminine energy men. What do you mean by that? That's what he said to me. That was the question that he asked. And I said, oh, this deal is dead. I didn't say that out loud, but I'm thinking to myself. And I just told him, I said exactly what the hell I said. And it was funny because when you work in a place like that, you kind of can't just say whatever you want to say, especially on the internet. I work in a place where I say whatever the hell I want to say. And this guy was asking me what I meant by that. I guess he thought I was going to try to like talk around it or apologize for it. I didn't do that. And as soon as I finished answering his question, he didn't say anything else the rest of the call. I said, all right, ain't no way this deal's happening. He's going to kill the deal. The DEI guy is going to kill the deal. And the guy who actually wanted me, he doesn't have any power. And that's the thing with working in bureaucracies is that often the person who actually, not often, let me be clear. If you get in a situation where you're working with a bureaucratic organization like the government, corporate, or academia, and the person who really likes your stuff, they call that your champion. If the person who really likes your stuff doesn't have any power, then it really doesn't matter that they like you because this guy didn't really have any power. I mean, he's a good guy, but he told me from the beginning, at least he was upfront about it. He said, this ain't my call. We got to go through him, her, and all these people. This ain't happening. Now, ideally, what you want is you want the person with all the power to like you because now they can just basically overrule everybody else and the deal happens. That's really what you want. But anyway, I told you I was telling you a story. That's the story. So Rachel over on Instagram said, can you put your list of topics on step-by-step how to get paid to speak and the materials you need to have in place to look credible and examples of what a professional proposal looks like? Rachel, you asked like 3 questions in one right there, Rachel. What I suggest you do is go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and get on a call with us. I can help you with all this stuff. And also, I got a podcast that comes out every day. It's called Work on Your Game. It's on Apple and Spotify. Everything you asked in that question, I have episodes talking about every single thing you said. So go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or even YouTube, and all those subjects that you just asked about, just put my name and then search the subject and you'll see all the content I've created over the years addressing those questions. Now, if you want more than just the information and you want some hands-on help with actually putting this stuff, implementing this stuff with the right mindset, strategy, and systems, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. What you're asking is literally what I coach people on. So you're asking good questions, but they are way too deep for me to answer in a soundbite here in this live. So, yeah, it was so funny when the guy said he was the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm like, yeah, okay. At least they had 3 black guys working there in some form of authority, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, Ruby, what university is that? I was asking you, or you're just saying universities, period. Oh, you mean just kids at universities? I get what you're saying. The liberal universities, no, they would never approve me because the bosses got to approve it. They would say, hell no, Dre Baldwin, no. They would Google me. They would see my X profile and it'd be over. They wouldn't have to go 3 posts down. The first 3 posts. Nope. Next. Done. Nobody. No, he ain't coming in. Yeah, very true regarding universities. Yeah, I know. I've been around. I've seen these things. Pamela Pritchett, good morning. Somebody said, how about them Bills? You mean the football team? All right, so O-Dog on YouTube said, I want to hear your take on Christianity. Did you grow up going to church? Yes, I did. I grew up going to church till I was about, I think my parents were on like a religious spiritual search because my mom, I have one sister, so my mom used to take us to church. My dad wouldn't go. My mom would take us to church until I was about, I say maybe 8 years old. We would go to church every Sunday. My mom was all into it. But then my mom got into, she stopped going to church and she would do like Jehovah's Witnesses. You know how Jehovah's Witnesses come and knock on your door and they try to give you some free like reading material and stuff. So I guess I don't know how it happened, but one day they will always knock on our doors. The Jehovah's Witness knocked on our door, and I guess my mom decided to talk to them. So she let them in the house, and she sat down and talked to them about Jehovah's Witness stuff, whatever they talk about. I have no idea what they talk about. But for a while, when I was a little bit older in my teen years, my mom used to go to I think they call it the Kingdom Hall. Is that what they call it when you're a Jehovah's Witness? They call it the Kingdom Hall. My mom used to go to that for like, I would say a good maybe 3 to 5 years. She would go to the Kingdom Hall because I guess she was trying to become or thinking about becoming a Jehovah's Witness, or maybe she became one. I don't know. But then after that, I went to college and I never asked her about it again. So I have no idea what she is. I don't know what she is now or if she's still in it. But my mom actually, because it's funny because we would always make jokes about Jehovah's Witnesses, right? we would always make, in the hood where I'm from, we would make jokes about Jehovah's Witnesses because they would always knock on your door and try to, hey, have you read the word of God? And they try to give you a free pamphlet. And they still exist today. You'll see them standing outside they would have business casual clothing on, and they try to smile at you and hand you some free reading material. I completely ignore them. I've always ignored them. But my mom let them in the house. She got them in and started talking to them. And she became a Jehovah's Witness for a while. So I don't know if she still is. I've never asked her about it. I got to ask her if I'm thinking about it next time I talk to her. And my dad, he was never into as far as I know, he never came to church. I don't remember him ever coming with us. And he was into like the Rastafarian stuff. I don't know if there's a religion. My dad used to listen to Bob Marley. He smokes weed. He's into all that stuff. I never got into that, but he was all into it. So I don't know if that's a religion or not. And he would say Jah, J-A-H. So whatever religion that is, he was into that. He still uses that sometimes to this day. So he's into that stuff. So was I raised religious? Kind of, sort of. Till about age 8 or 9, I would go to church. But then after that, my mom, when she did the Jehovah's Witness thing, she didn't involve us. And then I didn't go to church after that. But my best friend growing up, my first friend growing up, he lived literally next door to me. They were a devout Christian family. Like the mom and the dad were both pastors in the church, and they did church every Sunday. They even had like a kids club church when I was young. So I would go to that on Fridays, and it was more like a kids type of church. It wasn't like serious church, but they were a strongly religious family. Black, and this is all black. I come from a black neighborhood, all black neighborhood. So that's my experience in religion. But other than that, I don't have any other experiences in religion. But yes, I will be getting into that tomorrow. The education movement. That's a good title. Yeah, that's what happened. DEI guy does not want to lose his job. Yeah, well, the DEI guy wasn't going to let me get booked. He didn't say much in the conversation, but I knew if he went and did some research on me, it'd be a wrap. It'd be over. Because I have a whole episode. I got a video on YouTube trashing DEI. Actually, I got like 8 videos on YouTube trashing DEI. So there's no way I was getting that gig. O-Dog said DEI head isn't a real job. Well, it was then. I don't know what he's doing now. That's why I said I don't know what he's doing now. But back then, he actually was the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what he said. And as soon as he said it, I started laughing. Or I tried to not laugh because it was really funny. Yeah, Rastafarian. My dad was into that stuff. So I don't know if he's still into it. I don't ask him about that stuff. So I don't know what he does now. The Kingdom Hall. You know, my mom would go to the Kingdom Hall consistently for a while. Don't know what she's doing now. Ruby said, I'm afraid they taught my mom into canceling Christmas. They're consistent. There's one thing they're consistent and persistent. So shout out to the Jehovah's Witnesses. They knock on doors. You want to learn how to knock on doors, become a Jehovah's Witness. All right, they will knock on your door. All right. Nicole says Jehovah's Witness gave my ex a pamphlet and he tossed him out the window while he was driving. Yeah, that's what most people do with Jehovah's Witnesses. So you got to be very persistent to be a Jehovah's Witness, because you're going to get doors slammed in your face. You get people ignoring you. People won't speak to you. People throw your pamphlets in the trash. So if you want to develop thick skin as a salesperson, you should do a 6 months of being a Jehovah's Witness. All right. And you will learn. You'll learn how to get told no. All right. That's one thing you get good at, getting told no when you're a Jehovah's Witness. But every now and then you might run into somebody like my mom and they'll let you in the house. So you sit down and actually convert them. They converted her, at least for a little while they did. Orthodox, that from I don't know what that means. Stonecut said they don't knock on doors anymore. I don't know about that, Stonecut. In my neighborhood, they were knocking on doors. I don't know if they still knock on doors where I came from, but they were knocking on doors then. I still see them outside. Like even here in Miami, I'll see them standing outside, and you can see them from a mile away, because they got the little stand with all the pamphlets, and they're standing there. The man will be in the suit, the woman will be in the dress, and they're like making eye contact with everybody and smiling at them. They still do that. They're still hustling. So shout out to the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're hustlers. All right, you can learn a lot from a Jehovah's Witness just by watching their hustle. I will say that about them. I don't know anything about their religion, but I will say that. CCBY said in North Philly, yeah, exactly. They still knock on doors. Yeah, I knew I wasn't crazy. In the hood, they still knock on doors. So Stone Cut, I don't know where you from. At the what do they call those things? The cul-de-sac. They might knock on doors in the suburbs, and in the hood, they knock on doors. Jehovah's Witnesses will knock on doors. Someone said your live contains themes that some may find uncomfortable. Reason regulated goods content. What are you talking about? They said my live is restricted because your live does not comply with the 4U feed eligibility. I don't know. What did I even say? Let me stop talking on TikTok. I don't even know what I said. They giving me warnings already. I don't even know what I said. So CC by Sierra said in North Philly. Yeah, I'm from Philly. Philly is my town where I come from. I come from Uptown, Mount Airy, and yeah, last I saw, they were knocking on doors. Yeah, you doing like Friday. I remember that scene in Friday where Craig slammed the door in the Jehovah's Witness face. I remember that. Ruby said, if I invite them in, bake something nice so we don't end up eating it all. Yeah, some people will let them in the house. Someone said they're the most disliked religious group. Oh, you grew up in it? Okay, see, I don't know anything about the inside. I just know them knocking on people's doors. Stone Cut said Orlando. It depends on what part of Orlando, though. Stone Cut, you in the hood? If you're in a black neighborhood, they do knock on your door. They absolutely do. And like I said, I'll do them like Friday. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, they get to it. So again, if you want to learn how to hustle, go do that for a month or two. You'll learn how to get told no. And you're gonna be a salesperson. You gotta learn how to accept the no and get told no and move on to the next one. So anyway, let me cut this live. Let me end this live before I get kicked off of TikTok the same day that I came back. Let's save that for tomorrow for me to get kicked off TikTok again. So tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, 8 a.m. Eastern, we already know what the subject is going to be, why Christianity gets openly disrespected. I will, remind you one more time, everybody. Go to my YouTube link, which is in my bio on TikTok, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel just in case I get kicked off tomorrow. If I get kicked off in the middle of my live, again, there's only one reason, actually two reasons. One, the internet went out, and two, if TikTok kicked me off. Usually it's because TikTok kicked me off. So just in case I get kicked off again, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio, or just go on YouTube and type in my name. My name is Dre, D-R-E. My last name is Baldwin, B-A-L-D-W-I-N. I'm very easy to find. Make sure you subscribe to me. I will be live tomorrow on all these platforms. And just in case TikTok kicks me off, because nobody else ever kicks me off, just in case TikTok kicks me off, just jump over to YouTube and the conversation shall continue. One more question. Belfort said, did the backlash you received from schools ever shake your decision to continue to put out that type of content? What made you continue after it cost you some opportunities? It didn't cost me opportunities, plural. That was just one opportunity. And maybe it cost me others that I don't know about, but no, hell no, Belfort. I'd rather talk to entrepreneurs than talk to students anyway, because my material is not really, it can be useful for students, but the way students are being taught these days, the college setting is not the right place for me to be putting that kind of message out. The right audience for me are entrepreneurs, people who can say what they want, think what they want, and they can even publicly agree with things that may be quote unquote controversial. Students don't really have that freedom, especially these days with the way schools are, especially at liberal universities. You can't just say whatever you want to say, which is why I don't work at a college. I could be a really good college professor, but no school would hire me. I don't want to be hired, but I'm just saying that as an example. So no, that did not stop me from doing that. I never would stop talking about what I want to talk about. And one of the reasons why I talk about the things that I talk about is because I believe they need to be heard. So I would never censor myself or edit myself in order to be more acceptable to a certain audience. I will never do that. I'd rather piss you off and have you hate my stuff than edit myself to make you like me. I'm not into that. I'm not that type of person. So I'll tell you the story. I might put this story out in the future and tell you their names, because I remember their names. I remember the name of the school. I remember the names of the people. I think I got a screenshot from that call. I could find it and tell you their actual names if I wanted to. I ain't got nothing to lose. There's nothing they can do to me. But anyway, I was just telling y'all that story because it came up in the conversation. Someone said Dre University. Yes, we call that Work on Your Game University. Yes, Work on Your Game University is Dre's University. I should get dreuniversity.com. Nikki, that's a good idea. I might go look that up, see if I can buy it. dreuniversity.com and start using it. Ruby said alpha male characteristics. I accept that. I like that. O-Dog said hate is good for views. Yes, it is. Not on TikTok, though. Not on TikTok. Hate is not good for views on TikTok. They will get rid of you. Belfer said, my courses are being created. Once I get it going, I'll be back in the university. All right, that's what's up. Good stuff. All right, everybody, let's wrap this up. I'm going to go look up dreuniversity.com. I might go buy that domain name today. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, when I get kicked off TikTok again. Tomorrow, the topic, Christianity. Work on your game. We out.